Hello friends, welcome back. Want to truly understand the Azure functions for an interview, not just to memorize the answers, right? So join us as we explore the essential serverless concepts through the 10 plus targeted important questions, providing concise explanation and guiding you the best response to any interviewer. So without delay, come, let's get started. Alright my friends, so before we tackle the interview preps heads on, let's hit pause for just a few minutes and I want to kick things off with a quick high-level refresher on Azure Functions. We'll be using a simple analogy to make sure the concept is crystal clear and then immediately ground that understanding with some real-world examples from our existing code on the project. My goal here is to quickly align our understanding, brush up on those core concepts and set us up perfectly to dive into the technical depth you will need it for the interview. So let's start with a simple analogy. Okay, so let's say you have a food. Okay, you already cooked the food, or you just have the food, you need to heat it up or cook it. The best thing that you do is what? You choose a microwave oven, right? So you go take the food, put it inside the microwave oven, just hit the start button. That's it. The food gets cooked after some time, and then you can open the door and start eating it. Of course, it'll be hot, but you can eat it, right? The food is cooked. Now, here's the thing. Compare this in terms of technical stuff, right? Here, the food that you're trying to cook inside the microwave is your piece of code that wants to be executed, okay? The microwave and the microwave that is attached to the power card, like, the electricity, and then the whole microwave is not sitting in the main road, right? It is inside a house or shop or whatever it is, right? So all of those things, right? They're all called infrastructure, like a platform that provides this ability for us to cook a food. So those are taken care by the Microsoft Azure. They provide us this platform where we take our piece of code and go and getting executed to get the answer. In microwave perspective, you just take the food, put it inside, hit the start button, that's it. It gets cooked and comes out. You eat it happily. That is what exactly Azure Function at a high level. So Azure Functions are a serverless compute service on a Microsoft Azure cloud that allows you to run code in response to an event without even managing the infrastructure by yourself. Alright, so they provide a platform as a service. Offering, enabling you to focus on your code while Azure manages the underlying infrastructure. Okay, so now we have some basic idea of what is Azure Functions. As we go through the questions, I will explain you what it is. All right, are you ready? So come, let's dive into the interview perspective. All right, so those who are already aware, the code is in github.com/learnsmartcoding, and if you go to repository, you'll find all of the magical things that we did so far. Okay, and then this is the latest and greatest, website that I developed, like we all are learning on this. So this is where we write or test our knowledge. Okay, so I have logged into this. I'm going to log into this website, and I've also opened up portal.azure.com. I've logged in with my email ID. All right, so all of these things are ready, so we should keep going. So I'm going to use my registered email ID and password. So just for information, this website itself has 4 Azure functions, and in fact when you're logging in, the Azure function is invoked. So let's deep dive into it. Okay, so I'm going to go to the course. So I went inside the course and I'm clicking Azure and then see the available test options. Let's see, what do we have as of this recording? We have this, but don't worry, every single concept will be brought up here. All right, so let's start the Azure function test. Let's see, we have these many questions. I'm going to choose 15, though it's not going to take 45 minutes, so hang tight. And I'm going to go in the practice mode, and you will see if you've already seen this similar videos, you'll know what this practice mode is, but I'll explain you as we progress. I'm going to start and all our Azure functions. Okay, so we're going to understand the question. Let's see, try to understand the question and then try to answer by yourself. Just guess it as we go through it, and then this time you're going to utilize it as your practice as well. All right, if you don't know, don't worry, I'm going to explain you. So the first one, let's say somebody is going to ask you which deployment method allows zero downtime deployment and testing in Azure Functions. What does it mean? Basically, Azure Functions, right? They sit. Okay, so let's open up an Azure Functions. For example, this is Azure Functions. This is the one which is used in this website, right? Behind the scene. Okay, so we have these many things, right? So these are the one right? So let's say I wanted to update all of these methods. I have a new version of the code that needs to be deployed. There will be a downtime, right? At least a couple of seconds till the deployment is done. So without that, how can you do it? That is what the question is. So before even you think of anything, just understand that even though it is Azure Functions, if you look at this is deployed under this website. And if you closely monitor, after the first one, .azurewebsites.net. Yes, I hope you guessed it. Anything that ends with .azurewebsites.net are nothing but Azure App Service Web App. So behind the scene, though you use, and you can probably say I use Azure Functions, they are part of the Azure App Service Web App. Microsoft deploys this as a Azure App Service Web App, okay? But it manages everything. We have no idea where it is deployed, but Microsoft knows, okay? So based on this information, let's go back and see what are our options. Manually zip and deploy? No. As you deploy at that point of time, it's not going to work. So this is wrong answer. GitHub push, same thing. Anything that you push, it's not going to work. FTP upload, whether you manually deploy or using FTP file transfer protocol. So you log in with username and password to an FTP site and you copy paste your code. That is also not going to solve the problem. The actual answer is staging the slots. Staging the slots is part of a concept in Azure App Service Web App. So what does it mean is, let's say you have a staging, right? So UAT, user acceptance test, and production. Okay, so what will happen is generally these tools are like literally same. They'll have everything same. What they will do is you use something called staging slots, meaning they will first it's like a duplicate copy of the production. So you deploy it there, and from there the load balancer and Microsoft will take care of routing the request to the staging slot, and then they swap the code. So staging goes to the duplicate, staging goes to production goes to staging. Okay, and then finally all the requests will slowly start going to the production. There won't be any downtime. Okay, so that's why this is the answer. So let's see. Correct. So use staging slot to test new versions without affecting the production. This is how you test it. All right, and then explanation is here. How does it work and all of those things. See exactly what I explained. Slots allowing deploying and testing in a staging environment. After verification, you can swap with the production with no downtime. So you deploy to one staging, you test it out, and then just like that it swaps to the production without affecting any incoming request. Okay, so zero downtime. Okay, so we learned some concepts. Okay, good. So how do you secure an HTTP triggered Azure function endpoint? How do you secure it? Basically, that's the question. Let's go over it. Can you use Azure Functions or OAuth via Azure AD? Basically, function keys are also kind of secured, or via OAuth. Azure AD is also secured. Use Azure DevOps? Not really. DevOps is for deployment, right? It's not for securing any functions. It doesn't make sense. You can't secure HTTP triggers. That's very bullshit. It's just an opposite of it. Say, hey, you can't do it. Everybody will use it. Something like that, right? This is wrong. Encrypt in host.json, definitely wrong. There's nothing we are going to do with that host.json encryption. So answer is this. Okay, so whenever you choose, you will see a short answer in terms of you answering to the interviewer and also explanation for your understanding. All right, so next one, what happens when Azure function in the consumption plan hits a high number of incoming events? Great. So first of all, right, long back when this Azure function came, there were only two plans, premium plan and the consumption plan. In consumption plan, it has some restrictions like how much it will scale up. When I say scale up, how many instance of your Azure function app is can be deployed. Premium has a lot many features. Okay, so basically let's understand. So in a consumption plan, if your traffic is too high, what will happen? Will it crash? No. It starts a new VM manually? No, we are not doing anything manual. Azure takes care of everything, right? That's what we spoke initially. Our code, we give it to him. Microsoft Azure will take care of everything. It scales automatically based on demands, right? When I say scales, initially it will be deployed to only one version, and then as it scales, it deploys to multiple versions depending on how many requests are coming. I think we should do those kind of testing. We will do it in upcoming videos. It queues events and process them after 24 hours. No, if you call from a browser and if it processes after 24 hours, browser will time out in just 1 minute. So this is wrong. So scaling is what the right answer. And let's move on to the next concept. What is the purpose of a durable timer in orchestrator function? Okay, there are multiple keywords, all jargon's keyword. I have not heard of all of these things. Karthik, what the hell is this? I have not heard of any of these things. Karthik, could you please explain me? Yes, of course. So if you go to this website, right, basically what do we have in the videos? So in the videos we have several things that's done in the function. So if you just search for function, you'll have all of the function related things, and then let's search with that durable. Okay, so durable function is a type of function. Basically it is to orchestrate the calls. Like you will have multiple small pieces of function, but the entry point is one. Okay, but it calls multiple functions in a way it is organized to call, like it calls 1 and 3 and then 4 and then 2, and then finally it returns the data. So that is what they're saying. So we know orchestration is done in durable function, and they're asking durable timer what it is going to do. So answer is to wait for a period before the next activity. Okay, so this durable timer will do this. Okay, so you should know what is the answer, why it is doing. Okay, now what languages can you use for use to develop? Those who are aware of it, if you think only C#, answer is no. The actual answer is it actually supports multiple languages. Okay, so this one is easy. It's a beginner level question, you should know by now. And let's go here. Which of the following is not a valid trigger? Okay, HTTP trigger. Fine. How do I know this? Okay, let's open up any of this function. So this is our function project. Let's say I wanted to create a new function. Okay, so basically if you try to create a function here, okay, let's say I'm going to add this, it'll ask you what kind of trigger it is. This is what exactly they're asking. So Azure Function has these many different types of triggers. Like for example, if you hit something from the browser, that's called HTTP request. Of course you can call it from programmatically also, but that's HTTP. Okay, and we have timer, queue, we have many this. See, we have SQL trigger, we have so many things, right? These could be one of the triggers. So basically just to answer it, so HTTP trigger is valid, timer is valid, queue is valid, SQL is valid. So the answer is none of the above. Okay, now let's go on to the next one. In the Azure Functions premium plan I was talking about, right, what benefit do you get over the consumption plan? Definitely it has more way benefits. So if you look at these options, right, this is wrong. It says no scaling, that's against the premium plan. Always cold start. Do you know what is cold start is? Let's say this function app is deployed, right? If nobody is consuming this for like 20 minutes, this goes to sleep. Okay, it goes to sleep until any of these calls are invoked. If any of these calls are invoked, Microsoft will go and actually wake up. Hey, get up, somebody is actually looking for you. Okay, jokes apart, but really it warms up the service. So it just comes up. So the very first service call when it goes to sleep, right, that's called cold start. So it's there alive sitting, but it's just like idle. It's not responding immediately. The very first time it'll take time, like a couple of seconds to boot up. That's it. After that, every single call to do any of these things will be super fast. Okay, so that's called cold start, and cold start is by default in consumption plan. So cold start is not in premium plan. It will be always awake. It will make sure it is not sleeping. So it supports it only supports, no, it's wrong, because it supports everything, right? Actual answer is VNet integration and unlimited execution time. You know what is unlimited execution time? Basically in consumption plan, if a function is running for like 5 seconds or like 8 seconds, I think it will tolerate, but it won't tolerate if it runs for like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. That's not meant for the consumption plan. But for the premium plan, even if function executes for like 1 minute, 2 minute, which is orchestration function, it does a lot of work, it supports. Okay, so only premium plan supports. So that's the answer. Now next one, which of the following best describes Azure Functions? That's a virtual machine hosted app. Let's go over everything. A serverless compute service to run event-driven code. Event-driven code means our code. An event, HTTP is an event, timer is an event. Okay, the answer is this, because none of them are make sense. This is the only answer, because it's a serverless compute. We discussed about it in initial when we start up this video. So it's a serverless compute service to run the event-driven code. Okay, how can you handle a dependency injection in Azure Functions? Okay, great. So basically, if you look at this code, okay, this is called isolated model. Okay, see, nowadays Microsoft is not supporting non-isolated model, which is called shared worker experience. Okay, so anything, I think it's after 6 or 7 and above, we are currently dealing with 9. They're all like, isolated model. So in an isolated model, worker model, okay, how do you have more control on dependency injection. Okay, it's no more shared, right? So basically you use the host builder. If you come to program.cs, you use the host builder. Okay, before you create an instance, basically you can use all of these things. You can use the configure service to configure the services, logging, and all of those things. You can do it, and that is what is supported. Okay, so in isolated process mode, you use the program.cs with host builder and isolated worker process. Okay, all of the codes are in the repository, so don't worry about it. If you want, just go over the full stack video that I have it. That will give you a wonderful insights of every service that we use. Okay, so answer is this. And next, you know what, if you wanted to write an exam, you don't need to go in practice mode. Just keep clicking the answer, don't show explanation, and just keep proceeding. You can come back and check the explanation later also, just to test yourself how good you are at. Okay, and this one, which file can you use to set the application timeout in Azure Functions? Oh, great. So local.settings.json, which is a lot of people are not aware of that. So if you're running this Azure function in local, when I say local, on your machine, local.settings.json, where you have all of this configuration here, right? That will be loaded. So this is not the one. Function.json and host.json. Let's go to this portal. Okay, there'll be a file called function.json, and let me see, there are 2 files here actually. Okay, so this is the function, and all of these things will be here. So basically, let's go back. So those 2 files, where is that? Where are we talking? Okay, so function.json and host.json are present in the portal, not on your machine. App settings.json is again no more present. So answer should be one of these things. I'm gonna show you what will happen if I choose a wrong answer. Okay, let's say I don't know the answer. Okay, so I'm gonna explain you anyway, but basically to just answer this, they're saying where do you set up the application timeout. Okay, application timeout means the whole application. Like for example, a call comes in 20 seconds. If it doesn't finish, do you want to time out? That's the question. So it'll be at the function.json. If answer is wrong, it will tell you how it is. Exactly, I wanted to give this option wrong, because I want to show you a demo of what will happen if I choose a wrong answer, right? I'm keep choosing all right answers. All right, so basically it is done at the host.json, because it's at the Azure function level, right? Function level means it's on the host level itself. Okay, say use the host.json file to configure the global settings like timeout, because it's a global setting. Okay, see, and it also says function timeout is set inside the host.json to define how long the function is allowed to run in the consumption flags. Maximum is 5 minutes. Okay, extendable up to 10 minutes. So default is 5 minutes. Okay, I was giving you an example, right, for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, but that's what it is. All right, next. Which function type is durable function defines the workflow logic. We already discussed about a durable, timer, durable stuff, durable function with respect to orchestration. So orchestration means, again, if you go here, if you look at this video, you'll understand this. I have superb example. Orchestration means it comes to an one entry, okay, and then it tells what and all it needs to do to collect the information, and finally it returns. When I say collect the information, it actually calls multiple Azure functions, and that can be invoked only via the main entry point, and that's called orchestration. So durable function, remember, durable functions are for orchestration. Okay, All right, and the next one. So which attribute is used to bind a method parameter to the incoming HTTP request in the Azure HTTP trigger function? So if you look at these options, right, see, from service, if you have seen my video, that's part of a CQRS where you can directly say which function needs to be invoked. Okay, that's again an attribute. From body is to read the JSON content that's coming in HTTP post request body, HTTP trigger, and function name. Function name is to tell what is the name of the function. So the actual answer is HTTP trigger. But before I show you this, let me explain you what it is. I again open up this, I go to any of this function, and if you look at this, this is the function, this is the function name, and we are talking about this method parameter that defines that this is an HTTP trigger. See, this is HTTP trigger. Okay, if we have another trigger like timer trigger, like for example timer, you see this, the incoming method parameter has the trigger type timer trigger. So to answer this question, answer is this. Okay, that's how you should articulate. Like, you can tell by your own. Nobody is going to ask you any hard and fast, predefined set of answers. No, trust me, these days nobody cares about it. Okay, they will always analyze whether you have knowledge or not. Based on how you respond, they will easily find out. So make sure you practice and you understand all of these things. Now let's move on to how do you reference the secrets from the Azure Key Vault in Azure Functions. Okay, there are multiple jargons here again. Azure Key Vault is a separate concept. Just to give a high level, only for this question context. Okay, I'm gonna explain you what it is. Okay, for example, this is Azure Functions, right? So what I have here, local settings, I have the connection string, I have so many important things, right? Keys and all. I wanted to secure all of this important stuff, like, exactly all this DB context, this key for the send grid, all of those things I wanted to secure. I can store it in Azure Key Vault under the keys, but Azure App Service needs to access that, right? So what happens in Azure function is, like, for example, let's go to function. Again, like I said, let's repeat one more time here. Local.settings.json will never ever be deployed to the Azure portal. Remember that, which means all of those settings needs to come under the Azure function, under settings, under environmental variable. You will place these here. You see this email notification URL, authentication, send grid API key, right? All of those things are configured here. Okay. Now the problem is, if you have the value here, it's okay, you can configure here. The question is, if you have it in Key Vault, how this Azure function will access? There's a special way to access. Let's call this one. So those who have seen this Azure Key Vault, again, you can come here and say Key Vault. A lot of videos, okay, important videos, unique videos. So you can come and watch this. This concept is also explained. So there's a concept like @Microsoft.key vault and then followed by the URL of the key. If you use this like this, okay, so let me open up this example. See, it will tell you how it works. Let's go over here. Let me show you how things work. See, it will be like this, right? @key, and then this is nothing but the string. So probably it will look like this. See, Microsoft.key vault, secret URI followed by the URI. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, you can use like this so that this one can access the key from here, provided the managed identity for this needs to be given access to access the Key Vault's key. Again, if you want to know more about managed identity and service principal, you come here and say managed identity. Everything is there. All right, let's move on to the next one. What is the advantage of using premium plan? We already discussed premium plan has a lot of important stuff. So we already discussed it has the integration and no cold start, right? That's the answer. Okay, the next one and the last one. Which trigger is used to start a durable function orchestration manually via HTTP? How do you start it manually? Timer, you can't start, it's not in your control. Queue, based on the message sent to the queue, read by the queue. Queue trigger, you can't use it. Event grid, same thing. Answer is HTTP trigger. So if you come to the last page, it will tell you what kind of difficulty questions that we managed here. Alright, so and then you can just honestly come and tell your feedback. How was the interview that I was trying to present you? Did you understand the concept? If you face any issues or anything that you wanted to really honestly tell to me, so which can make me to improve in upcoming videos, I'll be very grateful for you. Alright, so I will say good so far, and I will say finish the exam. It does. You can go here, come all the way through. Okay, so 93, we got one wrong, right? That's why. Alright, so this was wrong. How do I check that? If I come to user exam, and if I go here in the practice mode, alright, so it tells everything. I can just explain the answer. You can't change it because you're done with the exam. Okay, so that's how it is. But you can actually review whatever you did. Okay, so you can keep reviewing, and then that's how you learn it. Okay, alright. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, just hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, share this with your friends and in the social media. And if you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section. Stay tuned for more videos and join the Telegram group for more lively chat. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more tech tutorials. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Happy coding!